The stars had never looked so crowded until the day humanity learned they were not alone. Captain Maria Santos stared at the massive ship floating outside Earth's orbit. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The ship looked like it was made of crystal and light, nothing like the metal rockets humans built. The first message came in perfect English. That surprised everyone at Earth Command. How did they know human language? The answer was simple but unsettling. They had been watching humanity for decades. People of Earth, the message began, we are the Galactic Council. We represent 47 species across 12 star systems. We have watched your progress with great interest and some concern. Dr. Elena Vasquez, Earth's leading xenobiologist, sat in the emergency meeting room with world leaders. She translated what the aliens really meant. They think we are dangerous, she said. They've been studying us, and they do not like what they see. The alien ship sent down a single representative. Ambassador Kirith looked like a tall, thin human covered in silver scales. His eyes were large and completely black. When he spoke, his voice was soft and musical. Your species fascinates us, Kirith explained to the assembled Earth leaders. You have achieved space travel faster than any species we have encountered. Your technology advances at an incredible rate. But your history troubles us deeply. President Chun leaned forward. What do you mean? Kirith's expression showed something like sadness. War, violence, conflict. These are things our species abandoned long ago. All council species did. When intelligence grows, violence becomes unnecessary. Conflicts are solved with words, not weapons. The alien pulled up a holographic display showing Earth's history. Images of ancient battles, world wars, and modern conflicts filled the air. Your species still fights. Even now, as we speak, humans battle other humans on your planet. This is primitive. General Rodriguez, head of Earth's military, bristled. We have made great progress toward peace. Wars are smaller now, less frequent. But they still happen, Kirith replied. In the civilized galaxy, war has not occurred for over 3,000 years. We settle disputes through discussion, economic agreements, and sometimes isolation of problematic systems. Violence is a relic of the past. Dr. Vasquez asked the question everyone was thinking. What does this mean for humanity? Kirith smiled, showing teeth that were too sharp. The Council has debated this for months. Some members wanted to quarantine your system until you evolved past your violent phase. Others suggested we wait another 1,000 years before making contact. The room fell silent. The idea that humanity might be trapped on Earth was horrifying. However, Kirith continued, the majority voted for a different approach. We offer humanity probationary membership in the Galactic Council. President Chun's eyes lit up. What would that involve? Full access to Council technology. Faster than light travel. Energy systems beyond your imagination. Medical advances that could eliminate disease and aging. You would gain citizenship on any Council world and protection under galactic law. It sounded too good to be true. General Rodriguez asked, what is the catch? Kirith's expression became serious. Humanity must abandon its military forces. All weapons of war must be destroyed or placed under Council supervision. Your species must commit to resolving all conflicts through peaceful means. Violence will not be tolerated. The debate that followed lasted for weeks. World leaders argued in emergency sessions. Some countries wanted to accept immediately. Others worried about giving up their defenses. Dr. Vasquez studied the alien technology they shared as examples. It was incredible. Power sources that could run cities for centuries. Medical scanners that could cure cancer in minutes. Ships that could cross the galaxy in days instead of years. Think about it, she argued to the Security Council. We could eliminate poverty, disease, even death itself. The benefits far outweigh the risks. General Rodriguez disagreed. What happens if other species attack us? The aliens say violence does not exist in their galaxy. But what if they are wrong? What if something comes from outside? The Council has protected the galaxy for millennia, President Chun replied. Their methods work. Maybe it is time humanity grew up. The vote was close. 52% of Earth's nations agreed to join the Galactic Council under their terms. Humanity would dismantle most of its military and place the remainder under Council oversight. The process took 6 months. Nuclear weapons were destroyed under alien supervision. Military bases were converted to civilian use. Weapons factories began producing farming equipment and construction tools, instead of tanks and missiles. Some soldiers were allowed to remain as peacekeeping forces, but they received new training. They learned conflict resolution, mediation, and nonviolent crisis management. Their weapons were replaced with stunning devices that could not kill. Kirith oversaw the transition personally. You are doing well, he told President Chun during one of their weekly meetings. Your species shows great potential. In time, you will see that violence was holding you back from true greatness. The alien technology began flowing to Earth. Cities started using clean energy sources. Hospitals received medical equipment that seemed like magic. Scientists gained access to databases containing millions of years of galactic knowledge. But some humans felt uneasy. Captain Santos, now serving in the new peacekeeping force, missed the weight of her sidearm. The stunning device felt wrong in her hand, like a toy pretending to be a tool. It will take time to adjust, Dr. Vasquez assured her during a visit to the Lunar Research Station. Change is always difficult, especially for military personnel. Santos looked out at the stars through the station's viewing port. Somewhere out there, alien civilizations watched and waited to see if humanity could evolve beyond its violent nature. I hope they are right, she said quietly. I hope we never need to fight again. Neither woman knew that in less than 2 years, their hopes would be shattered by an enemy the Galactic Council's peaceful methods could never stop. Neither realized that humanity's greatest test was yet to come. The galaxy felt safer with humans under Council control. The Council members congratulated themselves on successfully civilizing another primitive species. They had no idea what they had really done. 2 years had passed since humanity joined the Galactic Council. The changes were remarkable. Earth cities glowed with clean energy. Diseases that had plagued humanity for centuries were now cured in hours. Some humans had even begun settling on other worlds. The colony on New Harmony was one of the most successful. 500,000 humans had made their home on the green planet, building farms and cities under alien blue skies. The colonists felt safe under the Council's protection. That safety was an illusion. Captain Santos was reviewing peacekeeping reports when the emergency alert came through. Her communication device screamed with urgent signals from 3 different human colonies. The messages were broken and filled with static, but the words that came through were clear enough. Under attack. Ships everywhere. They're taking people. Santos ran to the command center where other peacekeepers were trying to make sense of the chaos. The main screen showed fuzzy images from New Harmony's security cameras. Large, dark ships filled the sky above the colony's main city. Dr. Vasquez arrived within minutes, her face pale. What is happening? Someone is attacking our colonies, Santos replied. We are getting reports from New Harmony, Centauri Station, and the mining outpost on Kepler 442b. The images became clearer as the communication system stabilized. The attacking ships were unlike anything in the Council database. They were black and angular, with strange organic curves that made them look like flying insects. Ambassador Kirith appeared on the screen within hours. His usually calm face showed signs of distress. We are investigating the situation, he announced. The attackers appear to be the Zephyrian Hive. President Chun joined the emergency session from Earth. Who are the Zephyrians? Are they part of the council? No, Kirith replied. The Zephyrian Hive exists outside our borders. They are difficult. They do not respond to diplomatic contact. We have had limited interactions with them over the centuries. General Rodriguez, now serving as a peace advisor, asked a crucial question. What are you doing to help our colonies? Kirith's pause was troubling. We are implementing standard emergency protocols. Economic sanctions against the Zephyrian territories will begin immediately. We are also preparing a formal condemnation to be broadcast on all council frequencies. Santos could not believe what she was hearing. Economic sanctions? Our people are being attacked right now. The council has proven methods for handling aggression, Kirith explained patiently. Direct confrontation only leads to more violence. Measured responses achieve lasting peace. The reports from the colonies grew worse by the hour. The Zephyrians were not just attacking military targets. They were capturing civilians, destroying farms, and enslaving entire communities. The few scattered peacekeeping forces on the colonies had stunning weapons that barely scratched the alien ships. Dr. Vasquez studied the Zephyrian vessels through long-range sensors. Their technology is advanced, she reported, but not impossible to fight. If we had proper weapons. We do not use weapons, Kirith reminded them firmly. Violence breeds violence. The council's way works, but it requires patience. How much patience? President Chun demanded. How long until these sanctions stop the attacks? Kirith consulted his datapad. Historical analysis suggests that economic pressure will force Zephyrian withdrawal within 6 to 8 standard cycles. Santos felt her blood run cold. That is almost 2 years. Our colonists cannot wait 2 years. The ambassador's expression showed what humans had learned to recognize as alien sympathy. We understand your concern. Your species is still adjusting to civilized methods of conflict resolution. Perhaps this experience will help humanity mature beyond its violent instincts. The connection ended, leaving the human leaders staring at each other in shock. Captain Santos spoke first. They are going to let our people die. The council knows best, Dr. Vasquez said, but her voice lacked conviction. They have maintained peace for thousands of years. More reports arrived throughout the day. The Zephyrians were systematically stripping the human colonies of everything valuable. They took people as slaves, stole resources, and destroyed what they could not carry. The aliens worked with the efficiency of a hive mind, which explained their name. President Chung called an emergency meeting with world leaders. The debates were fierce. Some argued that humanity had to trust the council's methods. Others demanded immediate action to save their people. We signed a treaty, reminded Secretary General Williams. We agreed to peaceful resolution of conflicts. Breaking that agreement could get us expelled from the council. General Rodriguez slammed his hand on the table. What good is membership in their club if it means watching our people get enslaved? The council's daily updates became a source of growing frustration. They reported the progress of their sanctions and diplomatic messages. The Zephyrians ignored everything. They did not seem to care about trade agreements or formal protests. Meanwhile, the attacks continued. The mining station on Kepler 442b went silent after a week. Long-range scans showed the facility destroyed and all personnel missing. New Harmony held out longer, but the colonists sent increasingly desperate messages. Please, came one transmission from Colony Administrator Walsh. We are running out of food. They have taken half our people. The children are scared. When is help coming? Captain Santos found herself unable to answer. What could she say? That help was coming in the form of economic sanctions that would take years to work. The breaking point came when the Zephyrians attacked Centauri Station. The space station had no military value, but it housed families of diplomats and scientists. The Zephyrians did not care about the distinction between military and civilian targets. The final message from Centauri Station was broadcast across all human communication networks. Station Commander Blake spoke directly to Earth as Zephyrian boarding pods attached to his station. "They are breaking through the hull," he reported. "We have no weapons to fight them. They are taking everyone they find alive. Tell our families we tried to hold out as long as possible." The transmission ended with the sound of alien weapons and human screams. That night, Captain Santos could not sleep. She walked to the observation deck and stared at the stars. Somewhere out there, her fellow humans were suffering while she waited for sanctions to work. Dr. Vasquez joined her in the darkness. "The Council says this is how civilized beings handle conflict," she said. Santos nodded toward the stars. "Tell that to the families on those colonies." Neither woman spoke about the growing anger they felt. Neither mentioned the thoughts that were forming in their minds. But across Earth and its remaining colonies, humans were beginning to ask dangerous questions. What if the Council was wrong? What if there were some enemies that could not be stopped with words? What if humanity's violent nature was not a flaw to be overcome, but a tool that might be needed? The Zephyrians had no way of knowing it, but their attacks were awakening something in humanity that 2 years of peace had only hidden, not destroyed. 6 months had passed since the first Zephyrian attack. The Council's sanctions showed no signs of working. If anything, the attacks were getting worse. Ambassador Sarah Chun stood before the Galactic Council chamber, her face hard with barely controlled anger. She had replaced the diplomatic team after the previous ambassador suffered a nervous breakdown. The stress of watching human colonies fall while the Council debated economic measures had broken stronger people than him. The Council chamber was a magnificent sight. Representatives from 47 species sat in floating pods arranged in a perfect sphere. Each alien was beautiful in their own way, evolved far beyond the crude appearance of their ancient ancestors. "Council," Speaker Veltar gestured with one of his 4 arms. The tall, graceful being looked like a cross between a human and a tree, with skin that changed colors based on his emotions. Currently, it showed the peaceful blue of calm discussion. "Ambassador Chun," Veltar said in his musical voice, "we understand your species' distress about the Zephyrian situation. However, our economic measures are beginning to show results." Sarah looked at her datapad. "Speaker Veltar, the Zephyrians attacked our 4th colony world yesterday. They have now captured or destroyed every human settlement outside our solar system. How exactly are the sanctions working?" A ripple of concerned murmurs went through the chamber. Several species had never witnessed this direct challenge to Council. Authority, Veltar's skin shifted to a calming yellow. "Ambassador, you must understand that lasting peace requires patience. Quick solutions often create bigger problems. The Zephyrians will eventually realize that their aggressive behavior damages their economic interests." "With respect, Speaker, the Zephyrians do not seem to care about their economic interests. They are slavers and raiders. They take what they want by force." Ambassador Tharok from the crystal-skinned Altarians spoke up. "Perhaps the human colonies were not properly defended by peaceful protocols. Did they attempt to negotiate with the attackers?" Sarah felt something cold settle in her stomach. The colonists had tried to communicate. The Zephyrians responded by destroying their communication arrays and taking prisoners. "Violence often stems from misunderstanding," suggested Ambassador Kirix, whose species looked like floating jellyfish. "Perhaps cultural exchange programs could help bridge the gap between species." The other council members nodded in agreement. Several suggested forming a committee to study Zephyrian culture. Others recommended sending gifts to show Peaceful intentions. Sarah watched in amazement. As the most advanced species in the galaxy debated sending flowers to beings who were currently enslaving human children, council members, she interrupted. While you form committees and plan cultural exchanges, our people are dying. We need military intervention. We need ships with weapons to rescue our colonies. The chamber fell silent. Veltar's skin turned a shocked purple. Ambassador Chun, surely you are not suggesting that the Council engage in warfare. I am suggesting that we fight to protect innocent people. Ambassador Zephix from the hive-minded Andorians made a buzzing sound of disapproval. Violence is never the answer to violence. This is basic evolutionary wisdom. Then what is the answer? Sarah demanded. All colonies have been attacked. Our people are enslaved. Your sanctions have failed. What do you suggest we do? Veltar's skin shifted to a patronizing orange. Ambassador, we understand that humans have not yet evolved past their violent phase. This makes it difficult for your species to see peaceful solutions. Perhaps psychological counseling would help you process these primitive impulses. The suggestion that humans needed therapy because they wanted to protect their families pushed Sarah past her breaking point. But before she could respond, an urgent communication arrived from Earth. General Rodriguez appeared on the chamber's main screen, his face pale with shock. Sarah, you need to see this. The Zephyrians just broadcast a message to Earth. The transmission that followed changed everything. The Zephyrian Hive Queen appeared on screen, surrounded by human prisoners. She was a massive insect-like creature with multiple arms and glowing red eyes. When she spoke, her voice was cold and mechanical. Humans of Earth, the Queen began, your people make excellent slaves. They work hard when properly motivated. To demonstrate our control over your species, we offer this lesson. The camera shifted to show 50,000 human children from the agricultural colony of New Haven. They stood in a vast field, guarded by Zephyrian soldiers. Sarah's hands began to shake. No, they would not. The Hive Queen continued speaking. These offspring serve no productive purpose. They consume resources without contributing to our operations. Consider this a warning against any thoughts of resistance. The execution was broadcast live across the galaxy. The Zephyrians killed every child methodically, without emotion or mercy. They wanted Earth to watch. They wanted humanity to understand their helplessness. The council chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. Several ambassadors expressed horror at the brutality. Others suggested this made dialogue even more important to prevent future misunderstandings. Sarah stood in the center of it all, watching 50,000 human children die while aliens debated the importance of cultural sensitivity. When the transmission ended, Speaker Veltar's skin showed a sad green color. This tragedy demonstrates why the Council must redouble our diplomatic efforts. Violence has escalated the situation beyond acceptable parameters. Escalated? Sarah's voice was barely a whisper. Yes, Veltar replied. The Zephyrians have clearly misunderstood our peaceful intentions. We must schedule additional negotiation sessions to clarify our position. Ambassador Thorak nodded sagely. Perhaps we should send a delegation to explain that their actions are counterproductive to galactic harmony. Sarah looked around the chamber at 47 species who had evolved beyond violence. They genuinely believed that talking could solve any problem. They had lived in peace so long that they could not recognize pure evil when it stared them in the face. When would these negotiations take place? She asked quietly. Veltar consulted his schedule. The earliest available time slot would be next month. We could potentially move some items around and meet in 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Yes, I understand your species' impatience. But proper diplomatic protocols must be followed. Sarah walked to the center of the chamber. Her voice carried clearly to every species present. Speaker Veltar, distinguished council members, I thank you for your guidance over the past 2 years. Humanity has learned much about galactic civilization. Veltar's skin brightened to a pleased yellow. We are gratified by your species' progress, Ambassador. We have learned that you mistake our desire for peace as weakness. You believe that evolution means abandoning the will to protect one's own. You think that intelligence naturally leads to pacifism. The chamber grew quiet as something in Sarah's tone alarmed the assembled aliens. You are wrong, she continued. Humanity hereby withdraws from all treaties with the Galactic Council. We renounce your authority over our military forces. We reject your oversight of our colonies. Veltar's skin flashed to an alarmed red. Ambassador, you cannot simply withdraw from Council protection. Your species needs our guidance. Sarah smiled, and there was something in that expression that made several aliens instinctively recoil. You mistake our need for your guidance with our desire for your technology. We wanted to be part of your civilized galaxy. We tried to become what you wanted us to be. She turned to address the entire chamber. But you have taught us something valuable. You have shown us that your peaceful evolution is not strength, it is weakness. You have forgotten how to protect what you love. You have traded your fangs for empty words. Sarah began walking toward the exit. The Zephyrians will learn what you have forgotten. They will discover that some species are not sheep to be slaughtered. They will understand that humanity did not evolve past violence. We simply learned to aim it more. Precisely. Her final words echoed through the chamber. As the doors sealed behind her, you are about to witness what happens when predators stop pretending to be prey. The emergency meeting took place in a bunker deep beneath Earth's surface. President Chun sat at a metal table, surrounded by people who were supposed to not exist anymore. General Rodriguez was there, along with Admiral Jiang, Director Williams from the Intelligence Agency, and Dr. Elizabeth Kane from Advanced Weapons Research. Sarah Chun had returned from the Galactic Council 3 hours earlier. She looked exhausted but determined. The Council knows we have withdrawn from their treaties, she reported. They think we are making an emotional mistake. They believe we will come back begging for their protection within weeks. General Rodriguez leaned forward. How long before they figure out we have been lying to them for 2 years? That depends on how well Project Phantom has been hidden. President Chun replied. Dr. Kane activated a holographic display. Phase 1 was completed 18 months ago. All visible military assets were destroyed or converted exactly as the Council demanded. They never suspected that we were building new ones. The hologram showed a dark region of space between galaxies, billions of miles from any inhabited system. The Ghost Fleet has been waiting in the deep dark for over a year. Every ship is fully automated, controlled by our most advanced artificial intelligence systems. Admiral Jiang smiled grimly. The Council taught us valuable lessons about their technology. We combined their power systems with our tactical doctrines. The result is something the galaxy has never seen before. Sarah studied the fleet specifications scrolling across the display. 10,000 ships? 10,012, to be exact, Dr. King confirmed. We built them in automated shipyards, hidden in asteroid fields. The Council's sensors could not detect the construction sites. President Chun asked a crucial question. Are they ready for combat? They've been ready for 6 months, Admiral Jiang replied. We just needed a target worthy of revealing them. The hologram shifted to show Zephyrian space. Their territory included 12 star systems and over 40 inhabited worlds. Intelligence estimates suggested a population of nearly 8 billion Zephyrians. The Hive Queen rules from the central world of Zephy's Prime, Director Williams explained. Their military consists of approximately 3,000 ships of various sizes. They rely on swarm tactics and boarding actions. General Rodriguez examined the tactical analysis. Their strategy depends on overwhelming enemies with numbers. They have never faced an opponent with superior technology and firepower. More importantly, Dr. Kane added, they've never faced an opponent willing to use that firepower without restraint. Sarah looked uncomfortable. What exactly are you suggesting? Admiral Jiang's expression was stone cold. Total war, Ambassador. Complete annihilation of their military capability. We make sure they never threaten another human colony. What about civilians? Not all Zephyrians are warriors. Dr. Kane pulled up battlefield analysis reports. Our intelligence indicates that Zephyrian society is completely militarized. Every adult serves the hive in some capacity. They do not recognize the distinction between military and civilian targets. Neither will we, General Rodriguez added. President Chen stood and walked to the observation window. Outside, the lights of Earth cities glowed peacefully in the darkness. The Council believes that intelligent species naturally evolve beyond warfare. They think violence is primitive. She turned back to the assembled officers. They are about to learn that intelligence can make violence more effective, not less. Authorize Operation Phantom Strike. The activation codes were transmitted immediately. In the cold darkness between galaxies, 10,000 ships received their orders and began moving toward Zephyrian space. The Ghost Fleet was unlike anything that had ever existed in the galaxy. Each ship was designed by human military engineers who had studied every major conflict in their species' history. They combined the lesson of ancient battles with technology borrowed from the stars. The smallest ships were fighter craft, the size of Earth's old jets, but powered by alien energy systems that made them faster than anything in Council records. They were controlled by AI systems that could react in microseconds. Guided by tactical programs written by humanity's greatest strategic minds, the medium ships were destroyers and cruisers, designed for one purpose: killing other ships efficiently. They carried weapons that combined human creativity with Council physics. Railguns that could punch through any armor. Energy beams that could melt metal in seconds. Missiles that could think for themselves and adapt to enemy defenses. The largest ships were the planet killers. Humanity had taken the Council's clean energy technology and weaponized it in ways that would have horrified their alien teachers. These ships could crack worlds, boil oceans, and sterilize entire continents. But the ships were not the most terrifying thing about the Ghost Fleet. The real horror was the tactical doctrine they followed. The Council species had evolved past concepts like total war and acceptable losses. They fought conflicts like formal duels, with rules and limitations designed to minimize casualties. They aimed to defeat their enemies, not destroy them. Humanity remembered different lessons. They remembered Sherman's March, the Blitzkrieg, and the doctrine of mutually assured destruction. They understood that some enemies could only be stopped by making the cost of resistance so high that surrender became preferable to death. Ghost Fleet emerged from dark space at the edge of Zephyrian territory, exactly 72 hours after Sarah Chun walked out of the Council chamber. The Zephyrians detected them immediately. The Hive Queen's forces responded exactly as human intelligence had predicted. They launched their ships in overwhelming numbers, confident that sheer force would crush any opposition. The battle lasted less than 6 hours. The Zephyrian ships were fast and deadly, but they were designed to fight enemies who followed galactic conventions of warfare. They expected formal engagement patterns, clear battle lines, and organized fleets thought. Instead, they faced an enemy that had studied the works of Sun Tzu, Clausewitz, and Patton. The human ships attacked from every direction at once, using tactics that no civilized species would consider honorable. They targeted command ships first, leaving the Zephyrian fleets blind and confused. They used the enemy's own swarm tactics against them, turning their numerical advantage into a liability. They fought without mercy, without restraint, and without regard for their own losses. When the Zephyrian fleet was destroyed, the Ghost Fleet turned its attention to the worlds below. The orbital bombardment began at dawn on Zephy's Prime. The human ships did not target military installations first. They did not send warnings or demands for surrender. They simply began erasing every sign of Zephyrian civilization from their worlds. Cities that had stood for thousands of years were reduced to glass and ash in minutes. Industrial centers vanished in balls of nuclear fire. Agricultural areas were poisoned with radiation that would last for centuries. The Hive Queen's final transmission was broadcast to the fleeing remnants of her people. The humans do not fight like the Council species. They do not seek to defeat us. They seek to erase us from existence. There is no honor in this. There is no mercy. The transmission ended when the capital, city of Zephy's Prime, disappeared. In a burst of light visible from neighboring star systems, the Ghost Fleet completed its mission in exactly 72 hours. When they finished, the Zephyrian Hive no longer existed as a functioning civilization. Their military was destroyed, their worlds were uninhabitable, and their population was scattered to the cosmic winds. The ships then turned toward Council space, their hulls still glowing with the heat of recent battle. The message they transmitted was simple and clear. This is Admiral Jang of the Earth Defense Force. The Zephyrian threat has been neutralized. We are returning to Council space to discuss the terms of humanity's continued membership in the galactic community. For the first time in 3,000 years, every Council species began desperately searching for weapons they had claimed not to possess. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so quiet. Speaker Veltar's skin showed colors that had no names in any civilized language, deep purples and blacks that spoke of terror beyond description. The holographic display in the center of the chamber showed what remained of Zephyrian space. 12 star systems that had once held a thriving civilization were now graveyards. Dead worlds orbited their stars like silent monuments to the efficiency of human warfare. Ambassador Thorax crystal skin had turned completely transparent, a sign of shock in his species. The entire hive, gone? In 72 hours? Complete extinction, confirmed Ambassador Kirix, her jellyfish-like form pulsing with distressed bioluminescence. 8 billion Zephyrians. Not even the Council's historical archives record such thoroughness. The tactical analysis scrolled across the chamber screens. Every Council species had military experts studying the data, trying to understand what they had witnessed. The conclusions were uniformly terrifying. They did not simply defeat the Zephyrian military, reported the Altarian defense specialist. They eliminated every trace of their civilization. This level of destruction requires weapons we cannot comprehend. Ambassador Zephix buzzed nervously. Where did they get such technology? We monitored their military capabilities. We supervised the destruction of their weapons. Veltar's skin shifted to a sickly yellow. They lied to us. For 2 years, they smiled and agreed to our terms while secretly building the most powerful war fleet in galactic history. The chamber's main screen activated, showing an incoming transmission. Admiral Jang appeared, standing on the bridge of a ship that looked like nothing in Council records. Behind him, stars moved past the viewports, indicating that the human fleet was traveling at impossible speeds. Council members, Admiral Jang began, his voice calm and professional. I am requesting permission to dock at Council Station for diplomatic discussions. Speaker Veltar tried to maintain his authority. Admiral, the Council demands an explanation for your actions against the Zephyrian. Hive. The complete destruction of an entire species violates every principle of civilized warfare. Jiang's expression did not change. With respect, Speaker Veltar, the Zephyrians violated the principle of not murdering human children. We responded appropriately. Appropriately? Veltar's skin flashed angry red. You committed genocide. We eliminated a threat to our species using the most efficient means available. The Zephyrians chose to be our enemies when they attacked defenseless colonies. We simply accepted their choice and acted accordingly. Ambassador Thorak leaned forward. Admiral, surely your species understands that violence only breeds more violence. By destroying the Zephyrians, you have made the galaxy a more dangerous place. Jiang smiled, and the expression made several council members recoil. Ambassador, the galaxy was already dangerous. You simply chose to ignore that fact. The Zephyrians existed outside your treaties and threatened your citizens for centuries. You did nothing because doing something would have required admitting that your peaceful evolution was incomplete. We had protocols, Veltar began. Your protocols failed, Jiang interrupted. Your sanctions were ignored. Your diplomatic messages were answered with dead children. Your peaceful methods work only when dealing with species that share your values. The Zephyrians did not. The tactical officer aboard Jiang's ship stepped forward. Sir, we have visual contact with Council Station. Should we proceed to Docking Bay 12 as requested? Jiang nodded. Proceed. The exterior cameras of Council Station showed the approaching human fleet. The ships moved with mechanical precision, their hulls still showing scorch marks from recent battle. They looked nothing like the graceful, artistic vessels preferred by Council species. These were weapons shaped like ships, built for one purpose: killing enemies efficiently. Admiral, Veltar said desperately, the Council cannot allow your fleet to dock. Your weapons violate our station's peaceful charter. Speaker Veltar, Jiang replied. My weapons are the only thing standing between the Council and the next species that decides to ignore your diplomatic protests. You can either accept our protection or explain to your citizens why you refused it. The truth of that statement hung in the chamber like poison. Every council member understood the implications. If humanity could destroy the Zephyrians so completely, they could do the same to any council species. The peaceful galaxy that had existed for 3,000 years was gone forever. Ambassador Kirik spoke for all of them. What do you want? Full membership in the Galactic Council with complete autonomy over our military forces, Jiang stated. Humanity will serve as the Council's military arm, dealing with threats that cannot be resolved through peaceful means. You want us to make you our enforcers, Veltar said. We want you to acknowledge reality. The galaxy is not as peaceful as you believed. There are species out there that respect only strength. When you encounter them, you will need someone willing to provide that strength. The debate that followed lasted hours. Some council members argued for rejecting humanity's demands and facing the consequences. Others pointed out that those consequences might include the complete destruction of their civilizations. The deciding factor was simple: fear. The council had lived in peace for so long that they had forgotten how to fight. Their weapons were obsolete, their tactics were theoretical, and their soldiers were trained for peacekeeping, not warfare. Humanity had retained something that every other species had abandoned: the willingness to destroy their enemies completely. The vote is unanimous, Veltar announced finally. His skin a defeated gray. Humanity is granted full membership in the Galactic Council with unprecedented military autonomy. Jiang nodded. Thank you, Speaker Veltar. I believe this arrangement will benefit all of our species. Admiral, Veltar asked quietly, what happens if the Council ever disagrees with humanity's military decisions? Jiang's smile returned, cold and calculating. Then you will discover that the Zephyrians were not the only species that can become extinct, speaker. But I am confident that such disagreements will never occur. The transmission ended, leaving the council chamber in stunned silence. Ambassador Thorek spoke first. "We created a monster." "No," Veltar replied, watching the human ships dock with Council Station. "We revealed a monster. The humans were always predators. We simply convinced them to hide their claws for a while." "What have we done?" whispered Ambassador Key-Rix. The answer came from the station's communication system as Admiral Jang's voice echoed through every corridor. "Attention all Council species. Humanity officially assumes responsibility for galactic security effective immediately. Any species with aggressive intentions should consider the fate of the Zephyrian hive before taking action." Outside the station's viewports, human ships patrolled the space lanes like sharks in dark water. Their crews were alert, professional, and completely without mercy. The galaxy was safe again. But it was safe only because humanity had reminded everyone what happened to those who threatened the innocent. "Speaker." Veltar looked at his fellow council members and saw his own thoughts reflected in their faces. They had achieved their goal of civilizing humanity. They had just discovered that civilized humans were far more dangerous than savage ones. The peaceful age of the galaxy was over. The age of human protection had begun. Every species in the council understood that their survival now depended on never giving humanity a reason to consider them a threat. The stars themselves seemed dimmer somehow, as if the universe had learned to fear the small blue world that had just reminded the galaxy what real predators look like when they stop pretending to be prey.